Hi, everybody. Sherry Leopold here, and I am so excited to bring you another phenomenal woman of worth, wow warrior. And today I want to introduce you to 2023 wow warrior, Gabriella Waterman. Welcome, Gab. I'm so excited to share this honor with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So the first question that I want to ask you, Gab, is what does it mean to you to be a woman of worth, a wow warrior?
Oh my gosh, there's so much in that question that we can unpack. I will tell you, I am older than I look, and that's awesome. And when I was a kid, National Organization for Women was a big thing. Women were working on getting equal rights. And I used to walk around with my mom, knocking on doors and talking to people and helping us get to a place of equality. And I was very fortunate that I had that experience and that opportunity because it showed me that I had the ability to grow up and become somebody of value. And I didn't have to have being a female hold me back. I could use my feminine energy and my feminine personality and still have a lot of strength and be assertive and really step into this amazing world as a woman of worth.
Oh, I love that, Gavin. Gosh, what a gift and true gift to be able to have had that like mentor right there, right? We're going to
Yeah.
come back to that because I think you're going to speak a little bit more about that mentorship. But I want to have everybody learn a little bit more about who Gabriella Waterman is, AKA Gab. And I want to have you tell our viewers a little bit about what you do, Gab, how you're serving and how you're impacting the world with your gifts.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much. I I have a podcast called Gab Talks, and this was a concept that came about when I used to be in the financial space, and I would see how people would show up in their expertise and work with their clients, and I got to see behind the scenes. It took several years for me to actually launch that podcast once I had the idea, but it is a place we call Success Tips from Experts. We interview people who are experts and help other entrepreneurs. And the thing that I love about that and what we do in Gab Talks and all of the other community building things that we do is we're connectors, we're givers, we lift people up, and we share each other and we grow each other through collaboration, through joint venture, through what I call co-opetition. There are people who do what I do. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally okay, but I might be able to refer somebody to somebody else. And because I have that quality that I show up as a connector, literally my friends will tell you it's part of my DNA. I'm able to help other businesses grow, get the better visibility, get better credibility, create connections between people that then they do business with. And so I and my team, we help people who are in growth and scale to continue that growth and scale in their businesses. We particularly love working with the people that are just approaching that six-figure mark and trying to get over it, or people who have just gone past that six-figure mark and are ready to continue scaling towards seven figures in their business. Again, all by connecting and collaborating.
I love that. And what an incredible impact that you're making doing that. And I've had the honor of being on Gab Talk. So thank you so much for that. And it is a delightful show. If you haven't caught it, I encourage you to go Google Gab Talks, or we'll just give you the link for it. So I'm just so excited to be continuing this conversation with you. And I'm going to kind of pop back to where you were talking about walking with your mom, because I have a feeling you're going to to talk about her again. But I want to, as a woman of worth, and as we are women who are writing our own history and creating a legacy for ourselves by living that legacy, which is exactly what you're doing as a 2023 Wow Warrior. I'm sure that you've had impactful females, role models, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to give a shout out to those mentors, those guides, those women who have impacted you in your journey. If you could just share a little bit about who that was for you.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, as you mentioned, my mom, she was huge in forming who I grew up to be. My mom, unfortunately, she passed away when I was 22, and she and my dad split when I was 3. And when I would stay with her, the babysitter was to take me with her to work. And I started learning, and I started literally working at 6 years old alongside her. Now, I didn't think it was work, and she didn't call it that, but we would go out and do, today you'd call it a pop-up shop, and I'd go stand alongside her and talk to people and sell merchandise to people. And I'm very extroverted, and it gave me that ability to funnel and channel what was naturally my gift and skill in talking to people. Unfortunately, as an adult, I kind of shifted and went into the financial space. And actually, it's not unfortunate, because it laid a foundation for what I do now. And when I ran my business, being able to be the rainmaker and bringing people in the door. But, that foundation that I had as a kid, some of my teachers, I remember my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Ryder, she was awesome. And she made me feel like I was special. I had some teachers in high school that were pretty awesome. My mom's best friend, she actually was the person who told me, go learn accounting. And I did. And I followed her advice and did that for 30 years before transitioning back into a space where I help other people grow their business instead of being behind the scenes in business. And gosh, there's so many women out there that are leaders. I love women like Brene Brown and Lisa Nichols, and, the Queen Oprah, she's amazing. And women like Madonna, they're trailblazers that we get to follow and see what they do and learn from them, that we too can blaze our own trails.
Absolutely. And you are blazing a trail, Gab. And I'm so honored and proud to call you friend outside of being a Wow Warrior, but I can't say that enough. So I really would love for you to share a little bit about what are you currently working on right now that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, thank you. I recently launched a community called the 7 from 1 Network Community. Actually, it's called the 7 from 1 Community Network. And it came from an idea 6 months ago. I was in a room of about 50 people, and someone on stage was discussing the concept that when in business you solve somebody's problem, if done well and done right, it should create 7 new good problems for them to have. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be a few more or less. But I said, oh, so what you're saying is I should figure out what those 7 things are, meet the 7 people that solve those problems, and have a relationship between them so that I have people to refer people to. Like I said, growth and scaling your business. Well, if I create a space where you have solved these issues of in your business, and now you have new things. For example, I got you more clients. Now you need an email software. You need someone who can write your emails. You need a landing page, whatever, right? Having those joint venture relationships, those connection relationships, or as I mentioned earlier, co-opetition. Sometimes I might want to refer someone to someone else who does something very similar, but they're a better fit. And showing up in business and in networking different than what we're typically used to, where everyone shows up and they just pitch, but rather creating that symbiotic yin and yang collaborative space that makes people feel listened to and heard. And we get away from the what's in it for me kind of thing that we typically do, and instead show up in a what's in it for them, then people actually, your business growth scales so much faster and so much more loyal and deeper relationships when you do it that way.
Oh, I love that. And what an incredible concept that you've created, which continues to expand with the ripple of blessings as people have been in those events. I too have participated in those events and absolutely love the format. I think it's phenomenal.
Mhm.
How can, if somebody's watching and they want to be part of one of the 7-in-1 events, how can they find those events, Gab?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you a link that you can share with people, that they can come and sign up and join us at one of the events. We do have events, if you've never been before, to come for the first time, because as you experienced, it makes you think differently than what you're normally used to. So we ask people to go through a training version, an orientation version of it the first time, so that they understand how we go through the flow of the questions. And I tell people, you're not pitching yourself, and yet by the end, everybody knows who you are, what you do, how they can support you, and how you can support them, and create those deeper collaboration, loyal relationships with each other. And when you come, you're not necessarily looking to find people to go and pitch your stuff to, but rather who's your network, who's my network, and how can we bring our networks together. You get so many more clients when you do it that way. I say, what's easier, better, or faster than someone giving out your name and giving you a referral?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I know you're a master at that, Gab. So I do know that you have a free gift for our viewers as well. So I do want you to talk a little bit about that free gift that you have, and then we'll share how they can get that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love this. So when I ran my company from 2016 to 2020, I had over 30 different referral partners sending business my way. People would call and say, hey, I was told to call and hire you, right? I didn't have to do all of that. Will you buy my stuff? Because I created those relationships. And we've all heard about having a raving fan for our business. Well, I say I didn't just have one or two raving fans, I created an entire cheering section. So I was working on trying to figure out how to disseminate this concept and this information to people so that they too could create their own cheering section for their business. And I was like, I don't know, how do I put this together? What do I say? What do I tell them? And one day, a few months ago, I was standing at my kitchen sink washing dishes, and I was having a conversation with myself that was, if I'm up on stage talking to people, this is the content that I'm going to teach. And I had one of those moments that I was like, oh, that's the landing, that's the cheering section. That's the document that I need to put together and give to everybody so they can make their own cheering sections. I didn't actually call it a cheering section yet because I didn't know that's what it was going to be called. But I had like that moment. So I literally banged out several pages worth of content, worked with a couple of people who my go-to that helped me with putting my content together. And we put together 2 pages of 7 keys that are 21 different steps that you can implement into your business, into what you're doing, that helps you to go build those relationships so that you can have an entire cheering section of people sending business to you.
Oh, I love that. And who doesn't want their own cheering section, right?
Right?
And raving fans. Absolutely.
I mean,
And I know that you do have raving fans, Gab, because
thank
I'll raise
you.
my hand. I'm one of them. So
Well, you did grow up being a cheerleader, so
I
I love having you being in my cheering section.
That's right. I'm gonna rah-rah all day long for you. So I have one last question that I want to ask you. And I love everything that you're doing. I want to ask you, and this is sort of one of the ones that's kind of hard, I guess, for a lot of uh, women because they don't sometimes think about it. But I want you to share with us, Gab, 100 years from now, when you're no longer here in your physical form, what is it that somebody is going to say when they hear Gabriella Waterman, AKA Gab, when they hear your name? What is it they're going to say about you? What is the legacy that you are creating that you are going to leave here long after you're gone?
You know, I thought about this question, and when I came up with the concept for the 7 from 1 community, I realized very quickly that I wanted to grow this into a whole entire network of networks, very much like a number of these other networking groups out there that you and I have all heard about. And I very quickly realized that I wanted to create a space that these become franchised or chapters or whatever makes sense all over the world. And I want to change the landscape of how people network, because when you go to most networking meetings, people show up and you feel like they're drooling their commission breath all over you. Then they get their opportunity to talk to you and you feel like they vomit their pitch on you. And when they're done, you feel like you just walked out of Ghostbusters with the ghost. Remember him, Slimer, where the guy walks out just covered in goo? That's how most networking feels. Not all. Sometimes you get very specific topics and you have a specific group. There are a few people out there that are more community and let's raise each other up based. But again, so very often it's a let me pitch me and what do I do, and not a what's in it for them. So I realized that I have a concept that is going to change the landscape of how people network in a way that's going to be so much better than what we do now. And in 100 years, I want there to be thousands of these out there where people are saying, thank gosh that we have this way that we are supporting each other instead of just making people feel icky. The way that we talk in sales today, it just isn't. If you look at the leaders out there, the ones that are pulling in thousands of people and getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be on stage, they're not focused on themselves. They're focused on you and they're focused on us. And I think that we can take that same concept and distill it down to the 10 and 20 and 50 person groups. And I want to be that person that facilitates that space, that makes people feel good about that kind of showing up.
I love that. And I think it's so true. And that's the culture that you are creating in the 7 from 1 community. So I applaud you for that. So I want to finish off. Well, one, I'm going to ask, do you have one final thought that you would like to share with our viewers before we leave?
You've all heard the saying, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust doesn't matter if people don't remember you. So go out there and do the things that make you memorable so people remember you in the best and most positive light and way possible.
Oh, I love that, Gab. Thank you so much. And what wise words from our Wow 2023 Wow Warrior. I want to say congratulations, Gabriella Waterman, AKA Gab, for being one of our 2023 honorees for the Wow Warrior platform. I acknowledge your worth. We salute you, and we're so happy to have you part of the Wow Warrior community.
Thank you. I appreciate it.